Hi, I am Berwin John C. Dizon, and I am applying for an ELA or a self-contained SPED teacher. My lesson is all about uh, my lesson is all about uh, analogy. So basically, here in this um, in this lesson, my objectives are to define analogy and its categories, complete analogical sentences, and appreciate the use of analogy in reasoning. I also have an objective here that says to display the value of patience in making analysis and the relationship of words. For me to start my lesson proper, this is how I will actually start my class. So I will say this to my students. So in our daily day-to-day activities, good communication class is really an important or a vital factor to establish understanding understanding. So between among between among individuals. So most often we want to be heard. We want to express what is in our minds, and the reasoning is actually potent way of expressing ourselves. Expressing ourselves to stress the points that we want to emphasize. So in this manner, a well-developed skill in making and understanding analogy will actually cater to this purpose. So if you hear the word analogy, so you will actually think about comparison in relationship of words. I know that this is not your first time hearing analogy, so I know you have an idea. It might be you might have like a little background of what is analogy. So so you will think that the comparison of relationship of words, but people often wonder about the effectiveness of analogies. So what do they actually teach? What does analogy do? So um, why are they actually useful? So what skill is actually developed in if a student is really um, good with analogy. So all of these our ideas are to be taken into consideration to for us to actually move forward. So for us to actually move forward in this lesson. Um, for the next thing that I will do is I will be presenting examples or instances of my new lesson, which is analogy. So so I will be posting on the board, or I will be if they do have like laptops, or yeah, if they do have like laptops, I will be giving out examples of um analogy. So, yes. So this is how my class would actually um, go after that. So, so look at these examples. So look at these examples and think of a the relationship between the underlined words. So they will see underlined words from the board or from their laptops, um, and then they need to actually um, complete the sentence of the word that they think that would actually fit the word that's on that they are actually saying. So say for example, claw is for claw is for cat. Um paw is for blank. So basically I will do that. So the students will answer those answer those, and then right after that, they will get they will know what analogy is, and they will, if for those who already knows analogy, then they will be you know, their minds will be refreshed of what is actually an analogy. So to continue, so say for example, example number two, violinist is to orchestra as teacher is to blank. So they will see there an example, two choices. So um it's baseball and soccer. So basically the students will answer baseball because pitcher is for baseball. So so I will be asking this motive questions to the students as well. So what were your answers? How did you come up with your answers? Um, what have you noticed with the first two underlined words of each sentences? So how are these two words related? What is their relationship? So I also have here the last question for the motive questions. Are you using the same relationship in finding the pair of the third underlined word? So those will be my motive questions as I go on with my lesson. So so um I will be discussing next is I will be discussing new concepts, new I will be discussing new concepts and practicing new skills for my students. So this is how it goes. So I will be asking, what is analogy? So so, and then I will let my students answer it if they do have an idea of what is an analogy. And then I will proceed with explaining what is analogy. So they will see on their screens what is analogy or the definition of analogy, and that would be, analogy is a statement of comparison between two different things. So ideas or concepts. And to answer an analogy question, um, to answer an analogy question correctly, a person has to form a logical relationship or bridge between two words. So that is how I would actually discuss new concepts and practicing new skills for the said topic. So so I will also proceed with the six categories of analogy, which are analogy has six categories, which are namely function, characteristics, synonyms, antonyms, degree, and part of the whole classification. So as I go on with my class, basically, as I go on with my class, I will be defining each categories of analogy, and I will be providing them with examples. So let's say I will be starting with function. So function, it can be an activity or purpose intended for a thing or a person to do. So this relationship is based on the way something operates or is used. It can also be called as purpose analogy. Say, for example, performer is to action as a painter is performer is to action and painter is to paint. So the performer here will do some actions on stage or in front of a crowd to entertain them, because that is the performer's function. So the same explanation it is with the painter, whose job or function is to do the painting. So this is how my discussion will revolve in. I will be explaining to them, giving them examples of each categories of analogy, and yes, basically it will be provided with examples so that my students will be able um, to know and differentiate the categories, or yes, the different categories of analogy. So that is how I will proceed with my class. I will just be providing those, and then proceed with um, I'll proceed with an assessment for my students if they really understood um, the lesson. So I will be providing again the same example that I provided earlier. So there will be following there in this they will see on their screen, like for the assessment I will give them the following analogies, and then they will determine what relationship is between the two words. Then they will actually complete the analogy with one of the words in the parenthesis that they will be seeing on their screen or on the board. So let's say, for example, number one for the assessment, they will see begin and end. And then I also pair it with two words, which is open, and then and then two words that they will choose between close or door. So basically, this will assess if they really understood the lesson for analogy. After that, I will be finding practical application of concepts. So um, so I will be asking this to the students. So class, did you get the correct answers as we answered it, as we after that's after we actually answered their assessment. So always remember that analogy plays a significant role in solving problems, making decisions, reasoning in arguments, and expressing perceptions, making generalizations, predicting outcomes, and many more. So I will let the students realize that after the assessment that I gave them. So um, this will be for the evaluating part of my lesson. So this will be evaluating learning. So I will say this to my students. Finally, you were able to tackle the we were able to tackle the different related activities to sharpen your skills on analogy. So now it is time to evaluate. It is time to evaluate your learning and be ready because it's quiz time. I will be providing quiz to my students. So basically, the quiz would they will see it on their screens as well, the quiz or on the board. So for part one, they need to complete the analogy. They need to complete the analogy sentences by supplying the correct word on the blank line. So number one, it says here, mouse to mammal, a snake is to blank. So they will see choices beside it on the parenthesis. So basically, the correct answer for that is mouse is to mammal, and a snake is to reptile. So that is how my evaluation will actually proceed or go. So part two of my evaluation is they will complete the illustrations by providing the appropriate illustrations or drawing on the blank space. They need to choose the letter of their correct answer. So that is how I would actually evaluate my class. And then I will be providing additional activities for application or remediation. So if there will be students that would actually fail the quiz, then I can actually reteach, or I can I will go from there. So that is how my lesson for analogy would actually go.